What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sector for Nerds, and welcome to another episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars Retro Discussions. Today we're going to be talking about Season 3, Episode 6, The Academy. First up, you guys, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. As always, got a lot of great content going up on the channel, so you definitely don't want to miss any of it. The episode that we're going to talk about today was directed by Giancarlo Volpe and written by Katie Lucas and Stephen Melching. The cookie for this episode: those who enforce the law must obey the law. That's a good one. Truly. Alright guys, time to bring in the man of the hour to let us know what's going down in this episode. Intro guy, take it away. A world in crisis. The peaceful planet of Mandalore is being strangled by the grip of corruption. With shortages of every kind, citizens must turn to the black market in order to survive. Desperate to free her people, Duchess Satine has asked her friend, Padme Amidala, to speak with the Jedi Council in hopes that they will send assistance to her struggling world. Thank you, intro guy. This was set up last week. Satine had said, look, if we had a Jedi here working undercover at the Academy, maybe we could expose like whatever corruption is going on. And that's exactly what this episode was about. And the Jedi that gets sent to the Academy is AHSOKA Tano. It feels like in this season, like so far, we're getting a good amount of Ahsoka episodes. Like I would say this is now our second one, and then next week's episode with a little bit of foreshadowing will be our third. But the reason I say that is because what I kept putting over in season 2, especially for the back half of season 2, is Ahsoka barely had any involvement in that part of the show. But even when she was there, her role was very minimal. Which I think is interesting considering the fact that she is supposed to be one of the main characters of the show. The beginning of the episode is Anakin and Ahsoka going to Mandalore. Anakin explaining, look, according to my wife, I mean Senator Amidala, Mandalore is a deeply corrupt world, and, you know, we gotta be able to instruct their future leaders to be able to make the right choices and everything, right? Yoda felt like that only a Padawan like you could get through to them, which actually I do think makes a lot of sense. Like someone that's around their age that could probably relate to them better, like, yeah, I see you, Yoda, I got you. So they get there, they say hello to the Duchess and the Prime Minister. Anakin announces that he's not going to be there, but Ahsoka does have the full support of the council. She meets a couple of the cadets, but we also find out that no off-worlders may carry weapons on Mandalore because of Obi-Wan's recent debacle that happened there. Which I guess makes sense why we didn't see Padme with her blaster in the last episode, now that I'm thinking about it. I'm surprised that Ahsoka came to teach in her normal attire that she wears. Like, yeah, she's like, what, 14, 15, she's still young yet. But like, I mean, come on. Show a little bit of professionalism, Ahsoka, you know what I'm saying? But Ahsoka talks about, you know, corruption and how, you know, to expose government officials, keeping leaders in check and holding them accountable. This is stuff that we brought up last week as well, the idea of corruption and what it can do to people. And Ahsoka rightfully points out too, it doesn't mean that every single government official is corrupt, but the temptation is always there, and it is up to the people to make sure that their leaders are being held accountable. These are real life lessons to be taking away from this episode, folks. So then we kind of get to know some of these cadets a little bit. The four like main people that we've got are Cadets Corky, Amos, Lagos, and Sunny. 2 guys, 2 gals. And Corky, who kind of feels like the unspoken leader of this group, the one who makes all the decisions here. He's like, yeah, we should just go down and break into this government warehouse and just see if there's any food. Just see what the heck is going on. So they go to the warehouse and they see that, you know, there's off-worlders here. Something's not right. There's like all this food here. And there's like this intense chase between them and the guards because they end up getting caught because Amos is an idiot.
So he's an idiot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Lagos also says at the beginning of this, I have a bad feeling about this. Classic Star Wars line. They end up getting away, and Corky's like, this is bigger than we thought. We're going to need help. We should speak with my Aunt Satine. Wait a second. Aunt Satine? Okay. Alright, I think we gotta... I think we gotta talk about, of course, the theories that are out there about this. I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't. Look, man, I wasn't on social media when this episode was going down. And I know that social media wasn't as big like back then, like when in 2000, when would this have been? 2010, 2011? It wasn't as big then as it was today, but either way, I didn't have a phone back then, so I wouldn't have had it. But I know a lot of the jokes and the theories about this show are that, oh, Corky is like, could be the son of Obi-Wan and Satine, which is very funny. And I can totally see it. That's why I think it's funny, because I don't think everybody's wrong in that sense. But I don't think that's actually, like, that's not actually what it is. Now, something I was thinking about, though, that I actually didn't think about until I just got done watching this episode again a couple minutes ago. Who could Corky's parents be? Well, we know that Satine, with a little bit of foreshadowing, has a sister. Is that supposed to be the mother? Satine's only sister, or sister that we know of anyway, is Bo-Katan. So just something to keep in mind, I guess, right? But they go to Satine. Satine kind of, rubs them off. It's just like, oh, don't worry, guys. Just worry about this stuff when you're older. I'll worry about it, And so that's when Corky's like, well, you know what? If my aunt won't listen to us, we'll have to go to the Prime Minister. He always said to come to me if I was ever in need of help, if I was ever in any trouble. Feels very Palpatine-like. But they talk with Prime Minister via hologram, and he says, look, all right, bring the recording with you guys tonight and all the cadets who know about it. That's not suspicious at all. To be fair, 10-year-old me just was casually like, oh yeah, no, cool, the Prime Minister's gonna help us. Yeah, no, this is great. Obviously, you look at it now, like, yeah, no, it's clearly a trap. And Ahsoka, luckily for Ahsoka, she's good on picking up vibes, because if she didn't, then, she may not have followed these cadets later. Because Ahsoka's like, Corky, you seem distracted today, what's going on? And so he explains what happens. And Ahsoka's like, okay, y'all are making way too many decisions way too quickly here. You got to examine all the facts and think about things before you act. And Corky's like, you sound like my aunt more than a Jedi Knight. No, Corky, it's because Ahsoka's using her head. But luckily, because Ahsoka knew that these kids were going to get into trouble, she obviously followed them because they get caught in a trap by the same guards that they were confronted by the night before. And Ahsoka ends up saving the day. And luckily, though, Sunny still has the recording, and, you can't see who it is. But luckily for Ahsoka, she's got the information retrieval device that we saw a couple episodes ago. Remember, me and DJ were having a chat about it? Like, every Jedi should have one of these things to identify people. If they could have just gotten a hologram of Palpatine, they could have stopped the events of Revenge of the Sith. But they ID him, and yes, it is the Prime Minister. So they go to find Satine, and, obviously she was taken, because they know that Corky had told Almec that they had talked with her. So, of course, she was taken. And Corky says, look, after my aunt, he's the second most powerful person on Mandalore. And Ahsoka goes, all right, let's go talk to him. So Ahsoka's clearly got a plan. And that plan is get all of the cadets captured, make them think that, like, Ahsoka's on their side, and use that to help find Satine. It doesn't really work, though, because the Prime Minister doesn't tell Ahsoka where Satine is being held. I think because he probably realized this was all a trick. Also, the fact that Ahsoka attacked his guards and they all got away, like she let them all get away, kind of, I feel like, would have signified that Ahsoka was with them. But the Prime Minister was playing a couple steps ahead on Ahsoka, kind of going along with things. Because Ahsoka goes to interrogate, quote unquote, the cadets. And she says, look, we're going to modify the plan a little bit because the Prime Minister didn't say anything, but you'll know the signal when you see it. Even I'm sitting there like, okay, Ahsoka, that's pretty vague. Like, I feel like we should have a more clear-cut plan here. Especially since things apparently aren't going as planned. But Ahsoka uses a mind trick on one of the two guards. Now, lesson learned, Ahsoka. The next time you try to use a mind trick on one guard, make sure you also use it on the other. Or don't be as overt that you're using a Jedi mind trick. Because the one guard taps on his little communicator, so you already know this is about to fall apart. And she gets over they find the Duchess, and she's like, I must interrogate the Duchess. Another mind trick. She gets Satine out of there. She's about to get Satine out of there, but Satine goes, Ahsoka, it's a trap.
I'm getting you out of here.
Ahsoka, it's a trap.
I see you found the Duchess, youngling. You may stop your play acting now, Sergeant.
Prime Minister, sir.
Using a Jedi mind trick was a very poor decision. My guards have been trained to resist such archaic magic. And now you have revealed yourself as a conspirator.
And all of a sudden, we got at least 10 guards in this room now, so I'm like, okay, there's a lot more of you now than there were 2 seconds ago. Almec tries to get Satine to sign, like, a confession admitting to her treasonous ways. And he says, look, I inspired the black market for the people. Ahsoka just goes, that's absurd. Yeah, you ain't kidding.
I established the black market for the people.
That's absurd.
He's like, all right, you know what? Put the shock collar on her. I'm like, wait, shock collar, what?
I told the crew to get lost for a few hours. Just you, me, and an empty ship.
What were you thinking we might do in those hours, wife?
I might surprise you. I found my old shock collar the other day.
And he puts this collar around Satine. He presses a button in Satine, of course. It does exactly what it says it's gonna do. It's gonna shock her. And she goes, I'd rather die than sign your confession. And Almec just goes, that can be arranged. He goes, actually, you know what? Bring me the cadets. And Satine goes, no, you can't. They're just children. And, you know, Almec has that little evil grin on his face like, there we go. I figured out how to get through to you. And he goes, you know what? I'm afraid that your nephew's gonna have to suffer. Put the collar on Cadet Corky. Damn coward. But Ahsoka's not gonna let this all go down, so she starts taking out guards. She's in cuffs, by the way, this whole time, and she's taking these guys out. The cadets end up getting in on the action a little bit too. There's only so much they can do because they're also in cuffs, and they're not, I don't know how trained fighters they are. This scene, you guys, really demonstrates how like good of a Jedi Ahsoka is becoming. She's growing stronger with the Force every single day. And the fact that she's taking on all these guards, she doesn't have her lightsaber, she's in cuffs. This was impressive. She's able to get the collar off of Satine onto Almec. The whole time I'm like, put that collar on Almec. Come on, come on. And sure enough, she does, and she zaps him with it. I'm like, yeah!
Gotcha.
Stop fighting!
Everybody gets arrested, all the bad guys, and the good guys win. And Satine goes, look, you should probably know by now that I didn't bring you here just to teach. I knew that there was something going on, but I didn't have anybody to trust. So, you know, I figured if I brought a Jedi, especially a friend of Senator Amidala, we could solve this problem together. To which Ahsoka says, I never doubted you, Duchess. And Corky goes, neither did we, and gives her aunt a hug. Good stuff. And then at the end, Anakin and Ahsoka have a moment to chat together. And Anakin, of course, knows everything that went down. And he's like, you're lucky that you didn't get hurt. And Ahsoka goes, nothing that you wouldn't have done. And it's kind of one of those moments where you go like, yeah, Ahsoka really is turning out more and more like Anakin every day. And I guess more so his good qualities than bad, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you guys, that concludes this episode. Overall, another really good episode of the Clone Wars. I really enjoy this 2-part Mandalorian arc, you guys. It's a shame that we didn't get any Death Watch at all, though I know that for this story, they weren't necessarily needed. But even just to have them pop up somewhere down the line in this season, I felt like would have been nice, but it is what it is. I think it definitely made sense plot-wise for Anakin to not be there. Because, again, like, if you have Anakin there, then it feels like, all right, well, most of the problems are going to end up being solved, but having this idea of, like, putting Ahsoka on her own, not having her lightsaber, her having to sort of step up and be the leader and help guide these cadets to expose this corruption. Again, it just goes to show you, like, how far Ahsoka has come in her journey. And it's only going to continue to go up from here. So yeah, you guys, I think that's all I got to say about this episode. Next week, we are going to be talking about Season 3, Episode 7, Assassin. The episode where we find out that a certain bounty hunter that we thought was dead at the end of last season is actually still alive. So hopefully you guys are excited for that episode. Thank you guys so much for checking out this episode here of Star Wars The Clone Wars Retro Discussions. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with others to help support the channel, and I will see you guys next time.
Why are you doing this? Killing me will not stop the relief effort.
Honey, this isn't about your cause. This is about revenge. My employer wants to get even with you. Simple as that.
Who hired you?
Enough talk. Time to see what you're made of, kid.